The following marketing information and discussion is provided for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as professional guidance or consultancy. You should find an agency for that. Comexis is a digital marketing agency, so feel free to hire us. But otherwise, just enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Buyer's Journey by Comexis, a discussion-based podcast on the ever-changing marketing landscape that affects how your customers and clients purchase, ultimately optimizing your marketing efforts. I'm Matthew McGrorty, the social media content producer here at Comexis.
I'm Len Ward, the managing partner at Comexis.
And I'm Josh Lyons, the digital marketing coordinator here at Comexis.
So today we are talking about the purchase phase of the buyer's journey. All this week we've been covering the different stages of the buyer's journey, and the last stage was the consideration stage. So at that point, the customer or potential client are thinking about your product or service. They're doing all this research. They're looking at reviews. If it's a product, they're looking at shipping costs. They're doing all of these things to determine whether or not your brand is trustworthy, if they have confidence in your brand, if it's the proper product that they're looking for, and ultimately where it is, if it's a product in particular, where they're going to be buying it from. And now we're in the purchase stage, and it's where they purchase things, but Len can go in a little more detail about some of the specifics of the purchase stage.
Well, it's exactly what you just said. It's where they purchase stuff, but it can also—
We're done here.
It can also be other things. There's other events that can be purchased. You may be a company who's solely looking to have somebody download a packet of information. You could be a company where you're just looking to exchange a zip code, and that zip code prompts you to maybe like a local store. So it's not just purchasing a product on Amazon or filling out an attorney form fill to have an attorney contact you. There are other things considered in the purchase stage. You can even break it down in individual campaigns. You may have a campaign you're running, and the trigger is for them to actually take some sort of action. So that's the purchase stage. Normally when a client or a potential customer arrives at the purchase stage, it's one of two things. Exactly what Matt said. They've done all the research, are ready to go. They've decided on your company, and boom, they're ready to make the purchase. Secondly, when somebody does enter the purchase stage, it's normally a person who's dealing with an emergency situation. I have an emergency plumbing situation. I was arrested for DUI. So that's somebody who's specifically going in. They're not even hitting consideration stage. They either know who your company is, and they're going right in and to the purchase page, or they're actually going to Google real quick, DUI lawyer handling XYZ types of cases near me. Bam, bam, they're in right there. So that's kind of where the purchase stage is. So yes, people can come in on the purchase stage. Remember, they can come in on any stage in the buyer's journey, but that historically are the two people that would visit you on the purchase stage.
And there's a couple things I just really quickly want to mention that kind of fall both in the purchase stage and what we'll talk about tomorrow, the retention stage. And that's things like, what does your packaging look like? If you offer a service, say it's an online service, what does the portal look like? How easy is the UI to go through? Other things like that. The purchase stage is obviously where people purchase things, but it's also where they're actually finally interacting with your product or your service, and then hopefully that leads them into retention when we talk about things like either buying again or maintaining a subscription, things like that. And the reason I mention that is because here at Comexis, we are a full service marketing agency. So if your website UI, for example, is not as good as it could be, and that's a really big issue for you because you expect people to come to your website all the time for whatever it is they purchased, that's something that we also think about. We think about how products are packaged and stuff like that, depending on what it is a client might be coming to us for. Not everybody needs that. But again, just something to keep in mind that is a part of it. Though if you're looking purely just through digital marketing, it's when people buy things. So just something to keep in mind. So now we're going to go to our audience profile. So last time, we were focusing on Jenna, the 24-year-old who was going to be moving into her apartment in Philadelphia looking for a vacuum. And we will once again continue with Jenna. So Jenna is a 24-year-old who's about to move into her first apartment in Philadelphia. Because she'll be moving out of her parents' house soon, she's in need of a vacuum to keep her new place tidy. Jenna has already gone through the awareness and consideration stages of the buyer's journey, and she's decided to buy her Bison vacuum. Jenna purchases her vacuum online on her smartphone, and when it arrives, she's very satisfied with her purchase. She likes the way the outer package looks, though she's quick to recycle the cardboard anyway, and the instruction manual is clear and concise. Jenna gives the vacuum a test run, and it works as expected. Within the packaging, Jenna also finds a card advertising a 15% off coupon on her next purchase if she signs up for Bison's email. Jenna thinks this is a great idea and goes to sign up. Now, Jenna is beginning to become a part of the retention stage with her email sign up, and obviously she's in the purchase stage, because she bought her vacuum and she got it, and she's pretty happy with it. So that's the general idea. Are there any additional comments you'd like to add, Len or Josh, about the purchase stage that we've talked about?
The purchase stage, I mean, I know we're in this thing, we're talking about platforms you need to be on, and the purchase stage is, it's critical. Pay-per-click plays in here. Email marketing is dramatic in here. The amount of purchases that are made via email marketing is more dramatic than you think. There's a little bit of SEO in here. Not really. It's kind of maybe SEO your brand. When they're at the purchase stage, they know who you are. They're ready to buy. So just make sure you're pay-per-clicking your brand. Again, make sure you have email marketing going to this client. And the last thing is, once they get to the site, there's a couple things you want to make sure you have on there. This is a secure purchase. Your information is encrypted. Any information you share with us will not be shared with a third party. So there's a couple little things that are triggers in the mind that you don't think you're looking for, but subconsciously you are looking for it. It's amazing how quick you can pick it up when you see something is not encrypted and you're about to put a credit card in. So little small things, make sure you have all of that covered on the purchase stage. So the purchase stage is actually, the importance lies directly, almost like you said, UX on the actual page, a little more so than it does in the ecosystem of the digital world. With that all being said, the last thing that works here, the immediate person I told you who has an immediate need, they're at the immediate purchase stage, that's where pay-per-click works really, really well. Again, start thinking attorney, start thinking emergency electrician and plumber and so forth. So that's where you would need both online and your actual website. So just a couple things to add.
Absolutely. And just one final note that I was actually thinking about it while Len was talking was, at some point in the future of the show, I want to make sure that we talk about Instagram and the way that they're sort of moving into being able to buy on their platform as well, because that's a whole huge, different, interesting thing. But that's for another show, folks. So now on to our article. Josh, you want to take us away on this nice eMarketer report by Mark Dolliver?
Sure. So first off, we like to use here at Comexis eMarketer for a lot of our research. There's a lot of important information that we use when we build our strategies, and we sort of figure out where we want to use our ad dollars when attacking clients' campaigns. But for this article, basically eMarketer did some research about millennials and digital and non-digital shoppers. And the results are, I wouldn't say shocking, but doesn't surprise me.
There's some interesting stats in here.
Exactly. So first we'll go in to the first stat that says that 84.8% of millennials will be digital buyers this year. And the interesting part isn't just that almost 85% of millennials will be digital shoppers, but when you compare it to Gen Z and baby boomers, Gen Z is at 77.5% and the baby boomers are at 59%. And while it makes...
Gen X. You mean Gen X?
Yeah. Gen X. Gen Z is the young ones.
Yeah.
You're good. Gen X will be at 75%.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, while we know that millennials are always online, some would agree, at least I do, that I feel that number actually will be higher in the upcoming months, and even as we go to 2020, 2021, and we might even reach a point where you might hit 99% of the world only shopping on digital. So I thought it was a very interesting stat, and I know there's some more interesting ones as we go down, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think that number is going to go up. I mean, there's going to come a point where how many percentages you're raising are going to at some point plateau. Right. But when we look at different retailers, for example, such as Target and stuff like that, allowing you to purchase online, pick up in store, as online becomes more than just getting it shipped to you, but being able to pick something up at a location, I think that's inherently going to be increasing the likelihood that people are going to shop online because they can conveniently either get it shipped to them or just go somewhere and pick it up. So what do you think, Len?
Well, it's funny that there's a president of another local agency I talked to, and they do heavy retail, and he was telling me that they were at a conference, I believe in Florida, and the future of retail is actually one of the first companies that are doing is Restoration Hardware. So you can go into Restoration Hardware in Chicago and you can't buy anything. It's just a showroom. And you can go order via your phone. I think there might have been tablets there. I forget what he said. He said, but that's the future. He goes, so you're going to go to these stores and the product's not there. And obviously with the advent of same-day shipping and so forth, you're going to have that product at your house almost maybe before you even get home. But he was saying that's the future, which plays directly into how the millennials like to shop and how they look for things. I thought that was really interesting, that he just said every little thing is going to be a mini showroom. Because he was saying one of the reasons that's hurting retail right now in regards to people purchasing is your rent is predicated upon how much revenue your store can generate. That's what your rent is looked at. So with these showrooms, it kind of changes a little bit, but it's forward thinking. I think it's a few years out, but when we start seeing it, you're looking at the future. So there could be Amazon showrooms down the road or something like that, but I do agree. I think this number, 84%, you might as well call it 99% right now, because there's really not, unless you're completely not connected, there's really not many people not shopping online.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a really interesting idea that there's an article that I recently read about different retailers trying to do dynamic pricing the way that Amazon does. And I think that that is just one more avenue where you can see that it is hard to have dynamic pricing for something that is physically in a store, but it's very easy to have it online, which is one more thing against physical retails and physically being able to get an object.
So the second stat, which I thought was extremely interesting, was that 44% of 18 to 34-year-olds said that they would rather give up sex for a year than to quit Amazon.
That's some dedication to Amazon, I guess.
So
Jesus.
I would like to ask both of you why you think this, and is that number going to slowly increase as time goes on or decrease as time goes on?
It's just a disturbing number altogether.
When I saw that number, I was incredibly shocked. But then I thought about it and I went, millennials ain't well, unless you're, so like younger millennials, like they might not necessarily have all that much money. So I'm sure they save a ton of cash on Amazon, and they're just kind of like weighing their life priorities, I guess. I don't know. I think that number is not so high.
Also, younger millennials are waiting on marriage and stuff too, so that doesn't surprise me.
We're the youngest of the millennials, Josh and boy. So.
I know.
Ridiculous. Because whenever I think about like millennial statistics like that, I think of like my sister who's like in her 30s, and it's like, you know, she has like a family and stuff.
She's the top end. She's top end millennial.
So I have to think like, where is this stat probably actually coming from, right? But that's nuts. There was another number that was about 62% of 18 to 38 is Amazon Prime members. I know I'm one of them. I really like Amazon Prime for everything that it does, but I like buying on Amazon. So, and then there was another. McKinsey polling, nearly half of 18 to 29s and 30 to 39s reported participating in Amazon Prime Day last July. So another little Amazon tidbit there. But that said, a lot of, just because, you know, and we touched on it earlier a little bit too, just because people are buying online doesn't mean that they're not necessarily going to be buying in-store, something like that. The Roth Capital Partners survey found evidence that with 18 to 38-year-olds cited their preferred shopping method for making a significant purchase. The most popular approach was to research digitally and then buy in-store, which I think for most big items, like when I think of a big purchase, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, when I want to go on and purchase maybe a jersey or a pair of shoes, you know, not only do I want to research first online, but I personally don't like to just have a piece of clothing shipped to me, because I want to be able to try it on and make sure it fits and it's comfortable before I make that purchase. So I think that does a good job explaining how, you know, most people go online to sort of research and, you know, go in for the purchase stage, and then instead of digitally purchasing, they'll go in store. So it's very interesting to me.
And then finally, there was a really interesting number, basically saying that a part of this report basically says that pricing is a really key factor. Obviously, it's not just how convenient Amazon might be or any other digital retailer might be, that the pricing really plays an effect. So Michelle Scuppin, Senior Director of Marketing Communications at RetailMeNot, pointed to research by her company showing that nearly 7 in 10 millennials said that they cannot complete a purchase without searching for a deal or offer. So sometimes it really just is whatever the best price beats out, which I think makes complete sense. So, any final comments, everybody?
No, I think that's
No?
pretty much it.
All right. Well, thank everybody for listening to today's episode of The Buyer's Journey. Check us out tomorrow where we'll be talking about the retention phase of the buyer's journey. Check out our past episodes where we have gone through the general idea of what the buyer's journey is, the awareness stage, and the consideration stage. And please check us out on Comexis.com, YouTube, anywhere you can get your podcasts. Go ahead, subscribe, listen in there, and please follow us on Twitter at buyers_journey. Thank you.